So Apple reports earnings soon. Apple reports earnings on the 4th of May, and what should be pretty exciting is in June, they're having their WWDC, and we're finally expecting the unveil of Apple's new virtual reality / augmented reality headset. It's expected to cost quite a chunk of change, somewhere around $3,000, but something that I actually really support Apple on, if these rumors are true, is the idea that virtual reality probably won't be the near-term future, rather augmented reality will. When I was skiing just this last week, I was thinking to myself, my goodness, there's so much literal screen real estate when you're wearing massive goggles. Not saying you want to wear those all the time, obviously, but I was just thinking about it when you're skiing. There's so much screen real estate in here. You could easily have hey, is the ski school trying to call me or text me like a notification, hey, pick up your child because he's screaming his head off and he doesn't want to be here or whatever, right? Or weather notifications or warnings or a map of how to get around the map. Like, all of these things would be really cool from an augmented reality point of view. And something like that, I could actually see myself wanting to use. Now, the problem that I have is I believe that what Apple's going to do is they're going to have cameras forward so that they can project on that, like, what your reality actually is in front of you. In my opinion, the issue with that is you're still going to have that feeling of looking through a screen, right? I think the longer term future needs to be some kind of almost transparent glass that could essentially be overlaid over, sort of like the old Google Glass style, because I'm not entirely convinced that having basically, I mean, you could do it yourself right now, right? Just put your phone on the video camera mode and go like this. And I mean, maybe, but like my eyes already feel like they're gonna be messed up from doing that, right? So who knows? That'll be really interesting. But I do agree with Apple, if the rumor is true, that augmented reality is going to be something that's more of a future for Apple. I think virtual reality, we're just not there yet. I've done many and used many of the new virtual reality headsets. My children have them, and it seems to be more of one of those novelty things where you use it for a few weeks, you kind of put it on, you do like the roller coaster rides, and you see, oh, this virtual reality is so good, you might experience motion sickness, and you're like, okay, maybe I'm feeling it. Maybe they're right. Maybe it is so good. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem yet super functional, and maybe that's because the platform just isn't there yet, right? In terms of the type of games you have are relatively limited. Yeah, you got some fitness games. You can do, sort of the music games or whatever, like the old Guitar Hero and Dance DDR style stuff. But I really feel like, virtual reality is going to be epic in the future when I could play like my World of Warcraft character in virtual reality, but it actually feels like I'm there. But in order for that to be possible, I'd probably have to have some kind of like platform that I could stand on that could move, so I could kind of like run in one direction, right, and never hit the wall. And I think that'll come. But so don't get me wrong, big fan of virtual reality. I just think that's 10 years out. I'm excited, though, about Apple's announcement of augmented reality. Apparently, they're supposed to announce new MacBooks as well, iOS 17, macOS 14, a major watch update, which I just thought they came out with a major watch update. I've got the major watch update on right now, which I'll talk a little bit about this. But the headset is probably going to steal the show. One of the things that is interesting about the headset is Apple is talking about having essentially a way that that you can basically scroll, kind of like if you've ever used a watch before. Here, let me show you, because maybe you haven't before. So let me see if I can get focus on this stupid watch. There you go. See that little wheel? That's going to happen. If I block some more here. Yeah, see this little wheel right here? So Apple is suggesting that if you turn this little wheel here, you might, with an augmented reality headset, be able to go from augmented reality to virtual reality as you kind of turn this sort of wheel around. And so that's what they're expecting might be like at the top of your head on this headset. So kind of think about it like, and then you dial the little wheel, and then you go from augmented reality to virtual reality. That seems pretty cool. Again, I'm not convinced that projecting with cameras what's actually really in front of me onto a virtual reality headset is going to be so convincingly great, specifically because what's it called? The Meta one does that. When you first, when you first go around and you do you set your perimeter for the virtual reality headset, it shows you the augmented reality, right? It shows you in your room, or all the things in your actual room and just overlays. It's not bad, but it still makes me feel like I'm looking into a little screen because, well, ultimately you are. So I think that'll be interesting to see what Apple comes out with and if that's a kind of product that creates any kind of headaches or pain over using. But AR, augmented reality, I think is the future for 2023 to 2030, and then virtual reality maybe thereafter. I get what Meta is doing, Facebook. They're trying to invest for the advertising world of 2030 plus. I just think they're burning too much cash flow today to be smart about that. Now, Apple is expected to lose money on their virtual and augmented reality headset as well, so we'll see what happens. Now, when it comes to the watch, I'll give a little bit of commentary on this. So up until probably about a week ago, I've been a big believer that this new rugged watch is really just the same as all the other watches. Mostly it's just a little bit bigger. I haven't really noticed any functional difference in the fact that it's a little bit bigger. But one thing I will say that I've really enjoyed, because I generally wake up pretty early, and if I have to go into or if I have to walk past my kids or I have to walk past Lauren, my wife, then I don't want to be rude and wake them. And usually what I used to do in the past is I would just use the iPhone flashlight app, and I would kind of like cover it a little bit, and I try to use that to kind of navigate around where I was going to get what I needed to do in the dark to not wake up other people. That was okay, but it was still probably too bright. If anybody remembers back in the 2007, 2008, actually it's probably more like 2007. In 2007, the first iPhone ever, there was no flashlight app. And so what you actually had to do back in 2007 is you would just open the video camera feature, push the flashlight button on, and then you had your flashlight. But they didn't have a separate button for that, which I thought was wild. But anyway, what's cool now about the rugged watch is they give you this third button, this little orange button over here. And what I did is I programmed that orange button to flashlight. So when I press the orange button, it turns the watch flashlight on, which is really good. And then I could go to strobe, which I never do, but I could also go to red light flashlight over here, which is pretty neat. And sometimes that functions. If I'm in super low light, I could go with the red light flashlight. Nobody sees it while they're sleeping. And the other one's a substantial step down from the watch or from the iPhone. But I love it from that point of view because of the productivity element of the watch. Just me being able to go into a dark room, click that one button, boom, my flashlight on. Works pretty fast, especially since I don't always have my phone on me. Now, another thing that I like to do is the actual sort of main screen. My big productivity hacks on the watch, I'll show you. I'll actually throw it up. I'll throw up a screenshot that I just took. The way I like to organize it generally during the week, and you can change your home screen obviously regularly. On the weekends, sometimes I just like to have pictures of the kids. But this is usually my productivity screen on my watch. And what I like about this is I'll put at the bottom right whatever ticker I might be trading that day. So on Thursday, I was trading triple leveraged QQQ. So I kept QQQ on because my goal was for QQQ to get to 319, and then I was going to take my tendies. And it started out at like 315 that day. So I'm like, I got a long way to go. We ended up getting the 319, and I took some nice tendies. So I was really happy about that. But anyway, so I keep that little tracker there at the corner. My kids regularly, the most effective way to sort of like mini discipline them, if you will, is by setting 1 minute timers. So if they're like super annoying and naggy, I set a 1 minute timer, and then they get pissed, and then they learn to stop bothering me. The cool thing about that at the bottom right or bottom mid there is I can push with one click, and that 1 minute timer comes up. That I think is a little overpowered, so I like that. Let me see if I can put it a little closer to the camera here so you can see it a little bit more functionally. So if I pull out of this, all right, let's see. How am I going to do this without it locking on me? All right, I think I got it. So we have our little watch cover here, and the cool thing is if I just go ahead and push that button. Look at that. Timer's right there. Like, how nice is that? And then obviously you can hit the little back arrow there and go to like 2-minute timer, 3-minute timer, whatever. But I made the button the 1-minute timer just to make it like super fast. Now I don't have to go find my phone, try to unbury the darn thing, which I usually generally leave docked, but I'm not always where the dock is. You know, sometimes I'm playing in the backyard with the kids and the phones are docked inside, and it's like, oh, I really want to be able to set a 1-minute timer. So that's been really useful. The little music button is great because I could, if I go on a run, I could Bluetooth that really quickly to my whatever headphones I run with. Usually I use the Apple Pro Maxes just because the band is really soft rubber and I really enjoy that. Now someone from Israel is calling. Great. Then we've got the little calendar thing. Super useful to have that calendar right in my face. Otherwise I'm going to miss it. If I don't have my calendar event like right there, I'm going to miss it. So that's pretty useful. Obviously, date, time. And then recently I put the calculator at the top, which has been pretty functional for me, mostly because there's so many times I just need to do some quick math. And oftentimes I'm on a run and I'm like, oh, I wonder, you know, if this happens, that happens, or this with a stock or something I'm trading or whatever, and I just need some quick math. And it's beyond the level of mental math, or I want some more accuracy. My goodness, the little Apple Watch calculator has actually been surprisingly functional. So I've come to like the watch a little bit more and more over time, but I think you could do this with the non-ruggeds as well. I don't know if you get as much screen real estate to have all of these buttons here, but that one's been pretty functional for me. That's the modular setting on the watch. So they're useful. You know, I know a lot of people are pretty anti-Apple. They don't like Apple products or the Apple ecosystem. And I get it. You know, there's some things that are quite different. I think eventually everybody will be a blue texter. But don't get me wrong. There are definitely some things you need a PC for, like gaming. Gaming, unfortunately, Apple just has never caught up with for PC games or you know, whatever it is, compatibility. I don't know, but maybe one day we'll be able to actually game on a Mac. But let me put it this way: I got one of those the Mac Pros, those computers. They're like $10,000. I bought it as a workstation like 4 years ago, and I'm like, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be so wonderful. First of all, it wasn't. It was a waste of money. I was really disappointed about that. But I tried to run Rust on it, the video game Rust, and I compared to Lauren's $1,200 gaming computer because she games so little. She's like, just give me the cheap one on Amazon. Hers had like 3 times the graphics settings that mine had. It's not possible yet to game on the Macs. Now maybe that's a good point. Someone here says new cloud gaming. Maybe. Cloud gaming, you have to be careful. So I've done a bit of cloud gaming. I actually bring, oftentimes I try when we go on trips, I'll bring like a little iPhone or Android remote control where I could stick my phone in it because I do have an Android as well. And then we can cloud game. And it's great when you have good internet, obviously, right? Cloud gaming. But that's been a little bit challenging for us because usually when I use the remote control and where you plug your phone in, I'm traveling. And when you're traveling, the internet usually sucks. So obviously, you know, sometimes that's a little annoying. If you were to invest in augmented reality, would you look at Snapchat? You know, I don't know that much about Snapchat. Snapchat is very much dedicated to, I shouldn't say dedicated to, but it's very much used by a substantially younger demographic. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like I'm not age discriminating here. I'm just saying, yeah, it ain't me. I don't understand. And that seems weird because I feel like as a millennial, I'm still supposed to be like that younger generation that everybody makes fun of. But I'm not that younger generation anymore. It's weird. You know, it's like now it's Gen Z. And I'm like, okay. I mean, like a lot of people I employ are Gen Z, and I'm like, they're cool, like they're normal people, like they're awesome. Like I get along with them just like I get along with millennials. It's not like all of a sudden they're a different breed of human. You know, so I think everybody's the same. I don't know. I haven't incorporated Snap into my life. But then again, you know, I could just be different in that sense because I did just recently delete TikTok, Twitter, and probably gonna delete Instagram next from my phone. Mostly because of what I'll do is I'll go like I'll go on Twitter. I'm not going to not use the apps, but I'll do it when I'm in the office and I can be on a computer, which sounds insane, I know. But what I found myself doing IRL, in real life, what I found myself doing is literally, if I had TikTok or Twitter on my phone, every second I was like in a conversation or whatever, or at a red light, at a stoplight or whatever, it was like, oh, what's the latest refresh, TikTok or Twitter, refresh. And it's just like, oh God, no, way too addicting. And it's just not useful. Like, I found these apps were really useful for me and still are, when I go on them and I get like a scheduled summary, right? I have to say, that is something that Apple has done extremely well. The scheduled summaries are probably my most favorite tool out of the Apple ecosystem right now, because they help me so much with basically just organizing what I'm doing. But notifications are a pain. I've talked about that a lot before on this channel, how notifications are just horrible, because you could be in the middle of doing something and you're constantly just like, oh God, I gotta answer the phone. Oh God, I gotta respond to that text. Like, the worst and most annoying thing is when you go into like a conference or something and everybody's got like their chime on for their text messages. It's just like so anxiety inducing. It's like, turn that crap off. Like, do you really need to drop everything you're doing when you're interacting with other people to like instantly respond? Now, don't get me wrong. There are some things, the answer to that is absolutely, right? Of course. But I don't think that's necessary for everything. So I think you could sort of create like you could create VIPs. Like, if your wife calls you, or your kid's school is calling you, great. Set a VIP, like put them in the little VIP category. But otherwise, you have to respond to everything instantly. God, no, it's just terrible for productivity. But here's an example of a notification summary. Hopefully, I don't dox myself. But anyway, so like, this is the next summary that I think I've set for like 8:30 a.m. And so this one's not actually too long, just because I think I got the last notification at like 6 a.m. But anyway, what it basically does is it gives me this little collapsible segment that, rather than getting all my notifications at once, it just basically collapses all these notifications into little summaries. So here, let me show it to you like this. So at the bottom, you could see sleep cycle and recommended funny. Those are just regular notifications, right? But over here, these summaries, I could click on just one notification, and then it expands all of these notification summaries for me. This really functional, really cool, and then it'll even, generally collapse within certain, like if there are 5 Bloomberg articles, it'll nest them all onto Bloomberg, and you can separately expand those. That's been an amazing productivity hack, because then again, you're not missing all of those notifications. Instead, they're bundled at a time where it's convenient for you to sit down and go through them. Personally, I think the easiest time to do email is not every minute an email comes in, but when you sit down and you're like, all right, I got all my emails ready. Boom, 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 boom. You bang out all your emails. You bang out all your Twittering. You bang out all your notifications. And then you go do normal stuff. But constantly like reacting to notification, quite frankly, is just idiotic and terrible for productivity. Sorry, I'm not trying to call people, idiots here. Mm-hmm. So, that is my take on Apple. Big fan. Very excited, by the way, about the next Apple event. But then again, I'm always excited about Apple products, and then usually you kind of just like, they come out with a product and it's like, all right. Like, everybody gets super excited around the time of the releases, and then you kind of just incorporate it into your life, and it's like not that different. Like, I will say, the iPhone 14, I was so jazzed. I'm like, this is gonna be the iPhone that like actually makes me excited about upgrading. Oh my gosh, the always on display. Oh my gosh. It's not really that different from my 13. I have the 13. It's actually sitting in a dock right next to it. The one thing I do like is that always on display. I will say that is nice, because I don't have to tap the darn other thing to sort of wake it up. But beyond that, it's basically the same. In fact, I did a video comparison comparing the iPhone 13 to 14 camera on a gimbal. You don't even need to use a gimbal, by the way, anymore these days. That I will say is insane. Like the gimbal market, when it comes to iPhones, I don't know how they're not out of business yet. I'll show you an example. But anyway, the quality is, like, I did not notice that much of a difference at all. If anything, it was challenging for me to notice a difference between the 13 and the 14. But the handheld technology now in some of these phones is just amazing. I'll show you. Oh yeah, this is a really good example. Okay, let me show you this little video clip here, and I think you'll enjoy it, because so this was a video clip of me, probably Jack, on like his 3rd day ever of skiing. So it's not like super advanced. We're on like a green slope or whatever, but we go down the sort of offside where you have all the little bumps and the trees or whatever, and I'll show you that here. So what I want you to see is just basically how smooth this camera feels. So here's Jack and his instructor, and this is freehand. Like, there's no gimbal here. This is crazy. This is me, skiing up to him or skiing behind him or whatever, and it's crazy how stable the footage is these days. I also did some shots in cinematic mode, although I noticed when I was in cinematic mode, you had a little bit more of, the AI wasn't that great yet for the technology for keeping your focus set. But let me get some more shots here as I stumble up this little tree to get a shot of Jack. There we go. So here we go. I mean, I think this is amazing. To think this is in your pocket and it's so smooth. I think I actually follow him here through the bumps, and you'll be able to see a little bit more, but I don't quite remember. Yeah, let me see here. You'll be able to get to see a little bit more, I think, of motion following, which is pretty neat. But yeah, I used to have to do this stuff with a gimbal, which was always a pain in the butt, because then the gimbal would unbalance and then wonky around or something like that. But for an iPhone, I don't know. This is awesome. So, big fan. Yeah, look at that. Good job, Jack. I don't know. Like, really cool. That's all I can say. I mean, I know that camera technology has just gotten good even in Androids, right? So it's not just, hey, look, there's me. It's not just the iPhone that does this sort of stuff. I don't really know what I'm doing here. I think I'm getting ready to turn it off. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So camera tech, fantastic. But I don't think anybody really disputes that anymore these days. I do worry a little bit about DJI and their iPhone gimbal market, but other than that, yeah, really cool. So, all right, let's go ahead and yeah, end that segment. So hopefully you enjoyed that segment on Apple, because I'm excited about the augmented reality. Not convinced yet on virtual reality, but augmented, I'm interested. I could be really convinced. I'm tempted. I'm almost tempted to buy one, which is scary, because I don't know. 1st gen from Apple. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. And then again, what are you gonna do with it? I don't know. Can I go on a run with it? They say it has a huge detached battery pack. I don't want to go on a run with that. So we'll see.